Peter kind of reminds me of a 9-month-old Labrador Retriever puppy, hopelessly enthusiastic, desperately seeking the attention of the master, wanting to please the master, and that enthusiasm has a way of getting in the way of things. Almost as if Jesus needs to say, just chill out from time to time. So when Peter is on the mountain at the Transfiguration, it's Peter that says, "This is great that we're here, Lord. Let us put up 3 tents for you, Moses, and Elijah." Hold on, not yet. When Peter gets sense that it is Jesus out walking on the water, "Lord, if it is you, call me out on top of the water." Jesus thinking, this is probably not that smart of an idea, but it's probably a good learning experience, so come on up, see how this works out for you. When Peter is full of himself and trying to straighten out Jesus on his mission, heaven forbid that anything should happen to you as the Messiah. And Jesus turns to Peter and says, "Get behind me, Satan. You're thinking as human beings do, not as God does." And then in this particular gospel passage, Jesus is saying that he's going to be leaving, and Peter's desperate to follow and says, "I'll even lay down my life for you." And Jesus says, "You don't understand what fidelity is yet. Before the night's out, you're going to betray me 3 times. Is Jesus really being rough on Peter? I don't believe so. I think it's a case that Jesus sees the full potential of what Peter's impetuous, passionate, zealous attitude and behavior is going to be able to accomplish eventually, but it needs to be tempered. Peter, as well as the rest of the apostles, they need to grow up. They need to understand what Jesus is really trying to accomplish, what's going to happen. And it wasn't serving the purpose that Peter and the boys would follow Jesus to the cross at this point. Jesus knows full well that they will drink of the cup that he's drinking, that they will eventually lose their lives for something. But they need to know what it is they're losing their life for. In this passage, Peter is expressing his love for the Lord, saying, "I'm willing to lay down my life for you." That's nice, but is that what Jesus needs? Jesus does not need anyone to lay down our lives for him. He doesn't need us to lay down our lives for even a cause, which many people sometimes do. In reality, Jesus needs the apostles, and he needs us as disciples to understand what is it we're really willing to lay down our lives for. It's not out of idealism. It's not out of some absolute truth or theology. It's out of love that Jesus does what he does. Granted, at some level, Jesus is invoking a cosmic redemption through the passion, death, and resurrection. We can't wrap our heads around that. Jesus might say that he's being obedient to the Father's will, and that's maybe an expression of love, but at a much deeper level, Jesus is doing what he does because he loves us. Plain and simple. It's not ideals, it's simply out of love. And so Jesus, when he eventually rises from the dead, and he kind of takes Peter off by the side and says, "Do you love me? If you do love me, then don't pursue what you think you need to pursue for the sake of that love. You don't have to impress me. Take care of the sheep. Feed them, tend them, care for the wounded, do what you need to do. Do it not because you're trying to impress me, but do it because you are in love with them." What Jesus is actually calling us to in communion with himself is that we change our mindset to stop thinking of ourselves as us and God versus we're simply all together. One big I am. Only then are we going to be able to do what we need to do for the right reasons. And when we do that, we really establish the kingdom of God.